For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees, so fair. Today is Friday, the 17th day of June, 2022, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, and I think they're expected to be wet at some point in time. We're inside the studio, so not sure what's going on outside yet, whether or not there's any precipitation, but regardless of that, we urge you, whether you're a pedestrian or a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, please be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. And folks, believe me, if you comply with those rules, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility, either on island or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, of course, you know, we want to give our birthday shout-outs as well. And a belated happy birthday shout-out going to Miss Nella in Hatland. She is a very, very popular North Sider. If you're interested in crab meat, she's always in demand. Always in demand, has her regular customers and everything else, and she celebrated her birthday yesterday. So Miss Nella Hatland in Northside as well. Notable persons who would have celebrated birthdays today. Let's see if we have some that we can share with you. I think we had some up earlier. Try to locate those as well. Yes, famous birthday list for the 17th of June 2022 includes celebrities Will Forte, Barry Manilow. Also, these computers will act up exactly when you don't need them to act up. Barry Manilow, he turns 79 today. Then we have actor Thomas Hayden Church, turns 61. who else do we have here with us? Will Forte turned 52. Venus Williams celebrating a birthday today as well. Also, I believe Newt Gingrich was either today or yesterday. Also, Jodie Whittaker, she turns 40 today as well. Other popular historical birthdays on the 17th of June include Igor Stravinsky, the composer, Art Bell, a radio host as well. So many celebrities. If you know someone who's celebrating a birthday today, we urge you, we prefer if you send it in to us earlier, but if not, we urge you to send it to our contact numbers, and I will give you those numbers and our email and WhatsApp numbers, email address and stuff like that. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Art Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson, who we again remind you is alive and kicking. Really kicking too. She's always on the go, always a busybody as well, and she's right here. So, any rumors of her demise have been greatly, folks, exaggerated. She is alive and kicking. Live and in living color as well, in living color, right here with us. So you can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow, that toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at For the Record, one word, For the Record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. So if you have birthday greetings or belated birthday greetings, or someone who may be celebrating a birthday tomorrow or on Sunday, and you want to do that in advance, then you can do so as well. And then, of course, we know Father's Day will be on Sunday as well. So all of those fathers out there, as well as those mothers who have to double as not only as a mother, but as a father as well. We want to give a big shout out to them as well. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Transport. And also in the studio with us this morning, we have Mr. Kim Ramoon, who is a senior inspector with the Department of Public Transport in the Cayman Islands. Gentlemen, good morning. I should say welcome back to Minister Bryan, and welcome to Mr. Ramoon. This is his first appearance on For the Record. Hopefully not the last as well, because we know transport is going to be high on the agenda. It is high on the agenda for the minister. So, as more and more things develop, we expect to see you in the studio with us as well. So, gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
It's on.
Good morning. Welcome to be here.
Good morning, O.C. It is a pleasure to be back here on Radio Cayman. We just, first, before I get into that, I just want to say a special pre-happy Father's Day to all the fathers that are out there, for continuing to be the rock and the foundation of our country as usual. Today, I join you in the show to speak about our recent travels and a number of other things underneath my ministry from tourism and transport. But as you highlighted, we have Mr. Ramoon here with us today to talk about our recent travel to Barbados, where we attended the International Roads Federation Conference. And in that conference, we had an opportunity to examine what could potentially be Cayman's future in respect to a reliable and sustainable transport system. As you know, this administration has promised to implement a new modern public transport system compared to the one that we have now. And it was important that my team from ministry as well as the transport unit go to examine the various different jurisdictions that are similar to ours, small island states in the Caribbean, similar culture and population, to get an example of what we could potentially implement. Barbados met those criteria, as well as their transport system is in line with our hopes, which is to create a transportation system that reduces greenhouse gas emissions into our wonderful Earth. Mm-hmm. So I would like to have the opportunity to allow Mr. Ramoon to talk about, from his perspective as a chief inspector at the transport unit, seeing it day in and day out and comparing it to the model that we saw over there. And what our hopes and plans are. I'll speak more to the hopes and plans as to the government's policy, but what we learn not only from visually seeing it and examining the buses, riding the buses, seeing the infrastructure that is there for it, but also what we talked about at the conference, a lot of technology, a lot of engineering, financial modeling, and all of these things. So I thought it was important that we both talk. So before I talk a lot, which you know I will do, I'll allow Mr. Kim to give the public an idea of what we saw and hopefully something that he's happy with, because he will undoubtedly be a part of the future of transportation in Cayman.
So would you want him to sort of like give a overview of what our public transport system is like in the Cayman Islands? I think so that the public will get a picture of of what we have here. And then, Mr. Ramoon, over to you, sir.
Good morning.
Take your time and relax.
Good morning, OC Minister. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for being here in the talk show. It's my first time, so bear with me. Pertaining to our public transport system here in the Cayman Islands, we have a very unique system that it is regulated by the government. However, the vehicles in general are owned by private operators. And we have challenges to an extent that enforcement, regular schedule, I know which way we have a major, to an extent, problem with the buses not being on time. We have one bus depot which dispatches the buses every 2 minutes, 6 minutes, 15 minutes, 4 minutes. That's the West Bay, Georgetown, East End, and North Side. I had the pleasure of going to Barbados last week to see what a public transport system is all about. And in a way, it's very similar to what we have in place here. Okay. And however, they have a dual system in place. They have a public system which is run by private operators, and then they have the government system, which is the bigger buses, which is run by and regulated by the government. Overall, the government are in charge of both systems. Fares are regulated by the government, similar to what we have here also, and they have now introduced electrical buses, 3, which we had the pleasure of riding on for the week during our stay there.
Okay.
And it's quite amazing, and they intend to decarbonize their vehicles by 2050, starting with 3 electrical vehicles, public transport vehicles so far, with the intention of purchasing at least 18 more. Hopefully, that will be the government intentions here within that time frame to decarbonize also.
Okay. Minister, we're going to take a commercial break.
Okay.
Folks, please stay tuned. When we return, the conversation with the Honorable Kenneth Bryan and Senior Inspector with the Department of Public Transport in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Kim Ramoon. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In early 1669, the Spanish Queen Regent issued a general decree authorizing reprisals against those who attacked her territories in ships. The action came in response to attacks by notable privateer Henry Morgan, who used the Cayman Islands as a staging point for his attacks against Cuba. In retaliation for these attacks, the Cayman Islands would become the target of the Spanish. On April 14, 1669, Spanish privateer Manuel Rivero Pardal, with a contingent of 5 ships led by the San Pedro y Fama, attacked several turtling vessels anchored at Hudson's Hole in Little Cayman. Pardal was able to sneak upon his prey by disguising his ships with English flags until they had arrived within musket range, at which point their Spanish flags were raised. In a relatively easy victory, Pardal will set fire to the turtling houses and huts before absconding with the English ship, the Hopewell, and moving his attack onto the northern coast of Jamaica. Most notable from his attack on the north coast of Jamaica was a famous note pinned to the tree at Point Negril, which bragged of his exploits in the Caymans and challenged for a head-to-head fight with Henry Morgan.
Karl Landsteiner was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize for developing the ABO system of human blood grouping in 1930. World Blood Donor Day is June 14th, saluting Karl's birthday. On behalf of our community, we, Rotary Club Central, thank you, the staff of the National Blood Bank. We thank you, our heroes, blood donors. Every day becomes World Blood Donor Day for we who need that pint to live. Call the National Blood Bank 244-2674 or 244-2669. Donating blood is an act of solidarity. When blood is needed, nothing else will do. A message from Rotary Central and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Rotary serves to change lives.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamped Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank? Yeah. Pay your bills quick? Yeah. Low fees, you know it? Yeah. JN Money, we a pick? Yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Hi, I'm life insurance agent Michael Webster.
And I am Randy Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center.
Proud sponsors of the birthday shoutouts on For the Record.
Whether you're another year older or just a year wiser,
making sure your family is protected is a pretty wise choice. I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
And I am Randy Lawson at 322-2145. Give us a call today to find out how you can better secure your family's future.
Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I go back to our guests, I just want to remind you that our birthday shout-out was proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randa Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. And they all want to remind you that you should not take chances with your family's future. So in the studio, we have the Honorable Kenneth, Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Transport, and Senior Inspector with the Department of Public Transport in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Kim Ramoon. Minister, back over to you.
Yes, thank you, Osi. And before we went to the break, we were just breaking down our trip to Barbados and the examination of their system over there in comparison to what we have. And our Senior Inspector, Mr. Kim Ramoon, was just outlining what we have here in the Cayman Islands and try to see where the similarities are. And they do a lot of the same approaches with the private sector drivers, but with a combination of government-owned buses. But the key focus of why we were there were the electrified buses, the more sustainable bus options. And just to give a little bit of information, in Barbados, it was over 300 buses that they have in total function, but over 40 of them were the electric buses, which is the main focus we were there for. Obviously, understanding that transitioning into a fully electric system is going to be a very costly one, so they're taking it step by step, and I think that we may be in a better situation to go fully electric because of our smaller size. Their population is over 200,000. I can't remember the number, whether it's closer to 250,000 or just above 200,000, but I can check that in the break. We are only at 70,000, and that's back and forth due to our numbers in work permits. We have a better system of infrastructure because our land mass is not like theirs. Even though it's a small island state, they have a lot more hills, and I wouldn't even say mountains, but more hills. And due to their development, they've been a more active country a lot longer than us. I think they were one of the main Caribbean islands, along with Jamaica, during the time of the sugar plantations and so forth. So they have a lot more development, a lot more older buildings and so forth, a lot more history. But what that does is puts them at a disadvantage because a lot of their main arterial roads are so narrow, and it's difficult to get the spacing because there's still a lot of private ownership on either side of the road, and it's already established historical sites and so forth. So it would be a very costly exercise for them to do the amount of land purchases, even if they want to do it by compulsory acquisition. We don't have as major of a problem. We do have some here, but in comparison to what they have, we probably have about 10% of what they would have to deal with. And I'm happy to say that our past legislators and past NRA officials have been considering this for some time as we have been developing. So we believe, based on, or at least me as minister to advise my colleagues, that based on what we've seen, based on the operations of those buses, remind me to say how many people can be on the buses, based on what we've seen and what the buses can do, the ones that we intend to try to go down the direction with is the electric ones. And the terrain that they have over there, they would run so smoothly here in the Cayman Islands. But there's a lot of things that would have to happen to get to that place. And I'm going to say later on in the show exactly how we plan to get there. I think the buses can handle 27 sitting, 25 standing, and one in a wheelchair. Yeah. And they actually, you know what? I'm going to ask Mr. Kim to tell us about the bus itself. And if you recall, because I know there's a lot of nuances about the bus, internet, hydraulics, all that kind of stuff.
So the buses is quite unique, and I must say, very beautiful. It have the capability of one wheelchair, 27 standing passengers, 27 sitting, 25 standing. They have the standing have straps that they can hold on to during while the vehicle is being driven on the road, and 2 exits, 2 entrance and exit. It have the capability that for wheelchair capability, the vehicle can tilt to the side to allow the wheelchair to have easy access into the vehicle.
I think they call them kneeling buses, something like that.
Yes. AC have the capability that if you're using your phone Wi-Fi, charge your phones during the course, and very comfortable. The seating capacity is very doable. The seats, the material they're made from is like vinyl, easy to clean, not steaming. If you have some of the construction workers come on board, they can be cleaned easily, and very spacious.
What about maintenance? Have they? Were you able to
I've spoken to them about maintenance. They're actually trained in advance before they had purchased the vehicle. They had sent people to train so they can maintain the buses. The lifespan of the batteries in general is like 15 years. Like 15 years for the lifespan. So they actually train in advance before purchasing the vehicles. So that is something that our government will have to consider. Actually, having the garages that they will consider our facilities here trained to maintain the buses and storage of the batteries.
Okay.
They reach that.
We have about a minute before we go to our news. But Minister, one question. We know that this was taking place in Barbados, so it was an excellent opportunity to do that. But if you had other options, would you be looking, let's say, for instance, at public transport in Bermuda, which is, so much similar to us in some respects, but also similar to Barbados in terms of the hilliness and stuff like that. Not as flat as Cayman, but not as hilly as Barbados, Bermuda is as well. And they have a public transport system that sometimes is questionable. Of course, they also have unions, very powerful unions over there that influence that as well.
Your question is pretty much yes. We're not going to only take Barbados's model as the final thing, but what we do know is there's enough there for us to say, okay, we have a system that we think we can implement. There's some things there that I would not be recommending to my government. Is like the private operations. I don't understand. One of the questions I couldn't answer was, why is there a private bus running against a government bus on the same route? The government will never be able to make the money to sustain the cost for the bus. And then they couldn't answer that. And I think there's a little bit of politics that was involved in that decision. I think there is room for some private for the smaller route areas. But as we come back from the show, I'll discuss the rest of those details.
Okay, folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the record with Minister Kenneth, Bryan, and Mr. Kim Ramoon will continue after 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
For Dairy Month.
This year, Foster's is taking a legendary spin on dairy.
Each week, Foster's Camana Bay will be offering special weekly samplings of yogurt, cheese, and dairy alternative products.
We're also offering 5 lucky customers a chance to win a $200 Foster's card when you purchase any 5 dairy products at any Foster's location from now until 30th June 2022.
For more information, head to fosters.ky.
Get moving with us and celebrate dairy all month long. Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman-Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Government is withdrawing its remaining line of credit loan facility executed in 2020 with a consortium of local banks and plans to invest the proceeds in 2-year U.S. Treasury notes. The deputy premier says the move is aimed at reducing interest costs for approved borrowing to fund upcoming capital projects through 2023, adding that using the existing loan facility allows government to borrow at a fixed rate of 3.25% for a 15-year duration. This enables government to avoid being hit by the expected upcoming interest rate hikes. In July 2021, government withdrew $10 million of a $403 million loan facility to comply with the terms of the loan and keep it available to government. As you heard right here on Radio Cayman Thursday night, at its June 7th meeting, Cabinet decided to draw down the remaining $393 million U.S. dollars. The loan funds drawdown will not be used to fund government's day-to-day operations. In May, government debt stood at $206.4 million, and this drawdown of loan funds in June will increase the balance to $535.5 million. Cayman sees an 8% spike in local cases of COVID between June 5th and 11th. According to the weekly trend data, Public Health says all key indicators increased in epidemiological week 23, with a testing delay likely due to the Queen's Platinum Jubilee long weekend. New cases jumped from 437 to 472. Test positivity increased to 28% from 25%, while the number of PCR tests conducted fell by 9%. 10 new hospital admissions were registered during epidemiological week 23, an increase on the previous week where 7 new admissions were reported. During the week, 61 kids received the pediatric vaccine, bringing the total number of children vaccinated over the last 2 weeks to 114. The key takeaway, Public Health says the drop in the current wave of infection has, quote, stalled with an uptick across many indicators, including COVID-19 new hospitalizations. Vigilance of preventative measures and continuation of testing is required to, quote, ensure community transmission decreases. And the fire service is sent to a report of a structure fire at Radio Cayman at around 10:30 a.m. on Thursday. On arrival, fire service confirmed it was actually a garbage fire in a nearby empty water cistern located behind the Radio Cayman building at a property in the Scranton area. Fire crews were able to extinguish the fire using a high-pressure hose from one of their rapid intervention vehicles. This prevented any major damage to property and no injuries are reported. The public is reminded that they are prohibited from burning garbage and materials without proper permission. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. The European Commission has recommended that Ukraine be given official candidate status in its application to join the European Union. The Commission's head, Ursula von der Leyen, said Ukrainians were ready to die for the European perspective. Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky, welcomed the move. Ukraine's Navy said it's hit a Russian naval tugboat that was carrying weapons and personnel to occupied Snake Island in the Black Sea. Snake Island was seized by Russian forces in the early days of the conflict. The British government has ordered the WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange, to be extradited to the United States, where he's facing espionage charges. It said courts had found the move compatible with his human rights, including the right to a fair trial. Mr. Assange has 2 weeks to appeal. For a second day, there have been violent protests in different parts of India against the government's new military recruitment process. Trains have been torched in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, and the demonstrations are spreading elsewhere. The changed military recruitment system provides 4-year contracts without pension benefits instead of the current 17 years. China's Navy has launched its third aircraft carrier and the first entirely designed and built in the country. The Fujian's 80,000-ton displacement makes it almost as big as the largest US carrier. Although it's likely to be some years before the vessel enters service, the launch in Shanghai is symbolic of China's rapid military advance. China has released a new plan to move polluting factories and power plants away from cities and river basins. Beijing has pledged to peak its emissions of carbon dioxide before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. It now appears to be reshaping its domestic economy in order to achieve those goals.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Do you need your account balance from the Water Authority? Give us a call. Customers can now confirm their account balance over the phone in 3 easy steps. 1. Call our office at 94-WATER, that's 949-2837, and press 2 for account balance. 2. Enter the full 11 or 12-digit account number. 3. Press pound. And get your account balance. You can check up to 5 account balances in one call, and if you accidentally enter the wrong number, you have 3 tries to enter it correctly. This service is open to all customers, including tenants. Call the Water Authority to get your account balance today.
Carl Landsteiner was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize for developing the ABO system of human blood grouping in 1930. World Blood Donor Day is June 14th, saluting Carl's birthday. On behalf of our community, we, Rotary Club Central, thank you, the staff of the National Blood Bank. We thank you, our heroes, blood donors. Every day becomes World Blood Donor Day for we who need that pint to live. Call the National Blood Bank, 244-2674 or 244-2669. Donating blood is an act of solidarity. When blood is needed, nothing else will do. A message from Rotary Central and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Rotary serves to change lives.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 82%. The barometric pressure is 29.94 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 9 knots. Overnight low temperature was 73 degrees. Synopsis indicate isolated thunder showers with light to moderate easterly winds and seas expected to continue across the Cayman area over the next 24 hours. In association with the area of low pressure currently moving northwest of the east coast of Honduras. This area of low pressure is expected to affect the Cayman area over the next few days. Satellite images show scattered multi-layered clouds with embedded thunder showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the northwest. Now the forecast for today calling for cloudy skies with a 60% chance of isolated showers and thunder, and temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, becoming east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots during the afternoon. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight. Cloudy skies with a 60% chance of isolated showers and thunder, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight, Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. High tide will be this morning at 11:50. Low tide again this evening at 9 minutes after 6. The sun will set this evening at 4 minutes past 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:48. And the outlook is calling for cloudy and rainy conditions continuing over the weekend as the area of low pressure drifts over the Yucatan Peninsula.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course, Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Traffic coming from the east, just past the Tomlinson roundabout, is busy on Shamrock Road. Also on the Linford Pearson Highway and coming off of Agnes Way and Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is busy. Busy traffic heading to Georgetown on Crew Road. Eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving along swiftly. From the West Bay 4-way stop, moderate flow of traffic, and traffic is flowing at a good pace on Edward Street and Godfrey Dixon Way. Eastern Avenue, traffic is flowing pretty good. Shedden Road, traffic is flowing at a good pace, as well as on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz in both directions. Coming off of the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, busy traffic heading towards the Butterfield roundabout. And continuing on to the Industrial Park area, traffic moving on moderately, as well as on North Sound Road. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again. At about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock, we'll give you another traffic report. Have a good morning and buckle up.
Subway is giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a new and second location in Governor's Square. The new Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor's Square is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
Cayman, get ready for Blossom Premium All-Inclusive. Come enjoy ambience, sweet soca music, and a star-powered cast featuring Edwin Yearwood, Vashti, Red Plastic Bag, Aside, and Show Wayne Winchester. Thursday, 30th June at the National Gallery. Party time 7 p.m. to midnight. Dress code light cocktail attire. Blossom Premium All-Inclusive for Cayman's Carnival, a production of Calabra and SW Limited.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister with Constitutional Responsibility for Tourism and Transport. Also in the studio with him, we have the Senior Inspector with the Department of Public Transport in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Kim Ramoon. Minister, back over to you.
Thank you so much, OC. And again, good morning to everyone who's tuning in. We were talking about our plan of action moving forward towards a more renewable and sustainable transportation system. And for those who may have just tuned in, we were speaking about our recent travels, myself and the Senior Inspector at the Transportation Unit, Mr. Kim Ramoon, along with my Chief Officer, Mr. Strand-Bodden, as well as the Director for Tourism, who's also the Chairperson for the Board of the Transport Unit, Ms. Rosa Harris. Now, that team went to Barbados to the International Roads Federation conference, where we spoke a lot about emerging technology, financing models, road infrastructure, and the science and engineering behind it. So there's a lot of learning opportunities of what would be necessary for a reliable and sustainable transportation system. But particularly, we were there focused on the public transport. We learned a lot. We've seen what we think that we can steal a lot of information. I use the word steal. I'd rather say borrow. But you can't give it back, so it's technically taking. But what we had an opportunity to do is network with other jurisdictions and their relative leaders of the transport area. A lot of the ministers responsible for transportation heard what they're doing in their jurisdictions. But we built a really good relationship with the acting Prime Minister, Miss Bradshaw, who was responsible for transport works and water resources in Barbados. I'm in the process of trying to get an agreement between our countries, the Cayman Islands and Barbados. I won't say much more than that, as I'm waiting on some responses post-conference from her, where we can have some sort of sharing information and knowledge agreements. And I'm hoping to be able to announce that in the future. I do believe through their Prime Minister, Miss Mia Motley, that their attitude to working together is something they prioritize. You hear about Miss Mia Motley talking about our region working together to set an example for the world in respect to the environment, as well as working together as a region for politics as well as tourism. So I expect to get a positive response in the future. But some of the things I want to focus on today also, though, is based on the models that we saw over there. You highlighted a particularly important question before we went to the break, is would we focus on other jurisdictions? And the simple answer is yes. I intend to travel again myself and Mr. Ramoon, as well as others in my ministry, to examine Bermuda. Bermuda is known to have a better, more efficient system. The difference between Bermuda and Barbados is leading the charge on a sustainable approach. So their model from that perspective is something we want to mirror. I can't say that I would mirror their structure of how they run their system with the private and public working together on the same routes. It doesn't seem like it makes much sense. They actually have three different models. It's private, public, and the private is what I call it, because it's private owned, but it's regulated routes and they can't come off of those routes. And then you have some other private ones who are just freelancers who do whatever they want, as long as they stay on the routes that they're on. So it's a mix mash of approach that I think doesn't allow them to be effective financially or efficiently with the reliability, not the reliability, but the efficiency of costing. I wouldn't want to follow that model. They have an authority that they work out of. We have a transport unit. So from a governing structure, it's a little bit different. But they do have boards, and I want Mr. Ramoon to speak about how he spoke with the authority members over there and how their structure of reporting and penalizing will happen.
After getting advice and speaking to members from the office of the transport board, the powers actually is transferred to the police, who do the enforcement part of their enforcement over there.
Okay.
However, any complaints received, they take the complaint and they pass it to the police, who investigate. Here it's a bit different. If it's a nature where it's an offense by law, criminal offense, it will be passed to the police. Here, it will go to the Public Transport Board for consideration after hearing the facts. Then the board will make a decision, which the board here have the power to approve, suspend, or revoke. However, we, in general, our inspectors do not have no enforcement power. So in the near future, we're hoping that the government in question will look at that and change that to give the officers a ticket system or amend our act and regulations that we have powers that we can deal with what we're dealing with on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you see that it's not like for like. I think the like is more so the fact that we're a small island state, narrow roads. We're committed to the vision of a sustainable model. So we're going to tweak some of what we've seen over there. And again, one thing I found important, I'm not sure if I remember if I said this before, but their focus on renewable transportation system, which focuses on the electric buses, but then they had their sources of energy came from a power plant. And I go, okay, our hope and goal was to reduce the greenhouse gases, and you didn't do that. You have electric buses, but you're getting your energy source from a power plant that is burning greenhouse gases. So they didn't implement the solar panel system to get sustainable energy through that way, or renewable energy through that way. And I talked to the acting Prime Minister Bradshaw about that, and it was just a costing matter. So yes, they're moving towards a more sustainable approach, but not quite there yet, and there's financial limitations to that. And sometimes I wonder if there was political interference as well, because how would you have a commitment to that, but the one thing that you're trying to stop, you didn't stop, you just transferred it from the buses to the power plant. But then again, you have the electrical agreements with that power plant that you have to maintain, quite similar like what we have here with CUC. Maybe it could be the restrictions there, and because I did hear from Ms. Bradshaw that they intend to implement those solar systems to allow the energy source to fuel the buses or to power the buses in the future. So maybe they're waiting on that. We will find out more as we continue to have dialogue with them. But I want to give the public now some ideas of what to expect.
But before you go there, Minister, if you could explain to us, we see, for instance, in Barbados that their sustainable development policy has factored heavily into their transport system, and they have that policy has specific recommendations in terms of transport. Here in the Cayman Islands, how will our transport policy, and I know you mentioned it, you spoke to it earlier briefly, how will that, our public transport system tie in with our sustainable development policy as well?
Well, basically, it's because it will tie in by saying that when we transition, it will be a renewable transportation system. There's no question about that. Because we're a government that is focusing on sustainability. So sustainability is a key component to anything that we do, even from the road infrastructure to any kind of systems that we're buying now. And I want to give credit where credit is due to the past administration, who started some of this process and given duty concessions to cars that are fully electric. So though you may have a different administration, the whole country is still on the same page in respect to how we move forward with transportation. But the number one thing about the the electric buses is not only about the fact that they're sustainable, but creating an efficient bus system that people feel comfortable to take, so you don't have to buy a car in the first place. Because though you can incentivize persons to buy an electric car, it's still reasonably expensive. It's still pretty much expensive compared to your regular Japanese cheap car. So what we want to do is not only that the system has to be efficient, but reliable and cost effective, that people feel safe enough to say, I don't have to buy a car. And by the reductions of any kind of vehicle being on the road, then you improve the life and the will of the people and their livelihoods by saying, I don't need to be in traffic for a long time. And that means we have to build less roads over the next 50 years because less people are in vehicles. One of the key contributing factors, and I learned this in some of the training sessions about the road infrastructure, is that we continue to build roads. All of those road square footage is just pure tar and heat, and it changes the atmosphere of your community as well as the environment. There's a lot of heat coming off, even off of the tar. So we want to not only put in a system, even if we were not doing electric buses and they were fossil fuel buses, even if they were in place efficiently, cost effectively, and safely, that would help the problem that we have, which is many less people will drive cars. That means we have to build less roads and so forth. But yes, to answer your question, sustainability from a transport perspective will have influenced all of our decisions in respect to transportation, including transport the buses, including the road development. So to say to your answer is yes.
And you will be working definitely with the Premier's ministry in that regard.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. The three ministries that has to be working together, and there's going to be a traffic task force created, and that would primarily be focused on myself as Minister for Transport, the Honourable J.E. Banks from Northside, the Minister for Roads, roads and agriculture and planning, and obviously the Honourable Premier, who's responsible for the environment and sustainability. So we will be working closer together in respect to this, but as being the transportation minister, I'm leading the charge and bringing the things that I think they need to do for the bigger picture. So I'm taking the lead on that. Now, some of the things that I want to give the public some expectations and understanding of what we will need to do in order to get this thing done. So when we're moving away from a fully private system to potentially a fully public system, which government is running it, or from a fully private to a potentially private and government system. We're not sure. We haven't decided that yet. But ultimately, in order to have any kind of government-run system or holistic approach, there's some things you need to do. Because a lot of people don't recognize it at this point because you don't really think about it. But each bus driver takes their bus home. If you were to have an organized approach under one umbrella, you need to have a terminal. So first thing that comes to your mind is, well, where is this hub going to be? What land mass are we going to need? So we're going to have to buy some land. And we can't only have one. Preliminary investigations show that we're going to have at least three. One in Georgetown, one in West Bay, one in Bordentown. So we have to have some land acquisitions. The other thing is these electric buses, and I think because of our small population compared to Barbados, which has a population of 287,000 people, which is 4 times the amount of people that we have here, we have the opportunity to do a full electric bus system. They couldn't do that because of cost restrictions and so forth, and they were just starting out with the intentions to put the whole fleet of over 300 buses, and I think half of that is actually the government-run system. So maybe they want to do 150 electric buses. In respect to us, to implement a full system with us having the current rate of 10 routes, we want at least 2 buses per route with an extra 3 to 4 buses in case one goes down and so forth. And don't forget Kim and Brack, we're not leaving Kim and Brack out. So all my lovely Kim and Brackers who are listening, we're not leaving you out. We'll definitely be focusing on Kim and Brack as well. So say about 24 buses, and the cost that they bought it at, and this is estimates now, it was $300,000 per bus. So you can see that we're in the millions already. And with the land acquisition, then you have to think about the infrastructure for the electricity, a lot of generators and solar panel systems. And then you have a lot of smart technology functions and platforms that need to be bought. So you would think of technology being free, but it's not. These platforms have to be paid for every year, and they're in large amounts, some, to $1 million platform per year to pay for it. So the initial cost to start this thing, in my humble opinion, may be within the $20 to $30 million range. But with it being renewable and focusing on electricity and reducing the greenhouse gas emissions in the country, I think it justifies that we can use the environmental fund to pay for partial amounts of this. So if hypothetically, and don't hold me to this, please, if we were to say it was $30 million to implement this whole system, I fairly think that we can say $15 million from the environmental fund, the other $15 million we'll fund by capital injection, and potentially paid off over a three budget cycle period, $5 million now, $5 million in 2 years, and $5 million in 4 years. But also think about the reoccurring costs per year, which is the employees that will be running the buses, the maintenance, upkeep, and all these other factors. So what we're trying to do now is my team will be setting up a committee to start to formulate what the structure will look like. And have another team who's looking at the framework for the regulation and legislation and the model that we choose. So speaking about the model, you want to know whether it's going to continue to work under the transportation unit. Do we want to move it to an authority like Barbados? Do we want it to be a government-owned company? And some of the legislation from the traffic law that needs to be changed to help to make this new system run more efficiently. So, for example, one of the key things that I think will have to happen is a public transport authority bus that is approved by government has to have more authority to the roads than any other car. So if you go to the UK, when a public bus takes the road and it comes off to the byway, is it called the byway or the shoulder? The layway, thank you very much. The layway, which is basically where they pull off to pick people up. When they come back on the road, the only other vehicle that has preference over them is police and ambulance. Otherwise, when they put on the indicator and come out, you have to stop. Otherwise, you'll be given a ticket. So they're given more legality, more authority over the roads, in the best interest of public transport and efficiency. So laws that didn't need to be changed, but I know that you have some more breaks to go to.
Folks, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with Minister Kenneth Bryan and Mr. Kim Ramoon will continue, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Important customer notice. BAF Insurance would like to advise their valued clients that the BAF Insurance office on Dorsey Drive Industrial Park will be closed on Friday, 17th June at 3 p.m. for staff training. BAF Insurance will resume normal business hours at 8:30 a.m. on Monday, June 20th. For more information, call 814-2545 or visit mybafsolutions.com.
On a listen to this, the Jubilee festivities continue with Lukia. Celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee and Mango Season. On Saturday, 18th June, the Cayman Islands National Museum is hosting a fun, interactive event full of Caymanian cuisine, entertainment, shopping, and free museum tours. And don't forget about the mangoes with the annual mango peeling and eating competition.
What are you doing with that big Julie mango in your hand now? I want a piece. No!
The Queen's Platinum Jubilee continues with Mango Season at the museum, Saturday, 18th June. For more details, visit museum.ky.
Your Yesteryear Musical on Breeze Radio, Saturday evening at 8 o'clock, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your Yesteryear Musical, a grand selection of music from yesteryear. And of course, Sunday being Father's Day, much of the music on Your Yesteryear Musical's program on this Saturday will revolve around fathers.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Minister Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister responsible for tourism and transport, and Senior Inspector with the Public Transport Unit in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Kim Ramoon. Gentlemen, back over to you.
Thank you, OC. I think it's important that I take this opportunity before I go on to say much more about how delighted and proud I am to have had Mr. Ramoon with me on the trip. He was so in tune with what was going on and asking the right questions in order for me as a minister to learn further about the transportation systems and even the one that we operate in. Most times people expect us as ministers to know everything, but we don't know everything. And I'm really, really happy that he's a part of this unit. I see him being a key component to the future of our new system. I'm really intelligent, hardworking, and committed to this journey that the government wants to go on. So, Mr. Kim, I appreciate all that you've done on this trip. It was really enlightening. I want to say that publicly. In respect to where we were about the costing and infrastructure, I was explaining before we went to the break that there's a large expectation of what the government will have to come up with in order to get this new system in place, and based on the cost per buses, the amount of land that we would need for terminals, as well as the infrastructure for solar panel systems, technology and so forth, potentially, and don't hold me to that, $30 million. But what we're going to be doing as I lay out those thoughts and details, what we're going to try to do in the background too is start to examine the legislation framework of what we want, because every different country has different systems that work for different reasons, culturally, based on their landmass and their landscape, based on the road infrastructure and so forth. We need to find the best pieces of legislation and regulation that suits us, and also the component of when we transition to this, what are we going to do about those private sector drivers now, to ensure that they do not lose the opportunity for to provide for their families. And I just want to say this because it's so important that if the government decides to go to a full private system, full publicly run system by government, that the intention would be for all Caymanian drivers, and I specify that because if you're not a Caymanian driver, it's not my responsibility to find a job for you, but all those Caymanian drivers, though they will be the first priority of choice for an opportunity to work and operate these new buses. Obviously, government will provide the necessary training. They will have all the knowledge necessary in respect to routes and so forth already. The only thing I would be scared about there is some unfortunate habits that have been in their system of driving for some time. But obviously, we'll be very stringent on that, and enforcement will be serious. And then you're working for a company at that point, whether it's a government company or a private company. So you'll be held to those standards. Because the number one thing we have to deliver is an efficient system, a safe system, a reliable one, and one that is cost effective. And when I want to talk about safety is not only the top one that we think about, which is very important, which is how they drive on the road and getting passengers from point A to point B, but also safety within the environment and culture on that bus. I've heard horror stories about bus drivers speaking to passengers in the inappropriate way, and I am so disappointed and embarrassed by it. That the public has to go through that. A bus driver should be an ambassador of a Caymankind culture. And that's what we want to do in this transition as well. When we transition to this new system, is change not only the system of governance, the types of buses, but also the attitude of what to expect. They're supposed to be the spirit of the day. They're supposed to feel that when I went on the bus, I may have had a long night last night and I didn't feel so well. Something happened the day before. But when you see your bus driver in the morning, they make you smile, they run you a joke and brighten up your day before you get to work. So there's a lot of changes that is in my mind as for the vision of Cayman from a transportation system on behalf of the Park government. Let's talk about some timelines now, OC. Obviously, we can't get this done right now because there's no monies in this budget. And this budget ends at the end of 2023, December the 31st. So what I am doing now, just so people can understand, is doing all the legwork behind the scenes, creating what we think the plan should look like, what we will need for it, what the costing will be, and potentially, once I have got that agreed upon, bring the necessary legislative framework to Parliament to get it changed, that when we come to the budget discussion, probably will be in November or October of next year for implementation of the 1st of January 2024, that the monies will be approved and we are ready to execute. So then, hypothetically speaking, if we took $15 million from the environmental fund and I got awarded $15 million for the rest of the balance of it, then you'll start to see all the things start to execute as of January 1st, 2024. Now, how long that will take before you actually be able to step on an electric bus and ride to your work destination or your home destination, I can't say that yet because we haven't examined how long this implementation would take. But what I want to do is make sure that anything that can be done before that will be done so we don't have to worry about it. And it will just be the infrastructure makeup, and maybe that may take a year. So sadly, this is going to take longer than I would want it to do because, yes, I'm a politician. Yes, I want to be able to say I've done the transport system on behalf of my colleagues in PAC, on behalf of my Premier, Deputy Premier, and the rest of my ministers and my PSs. But timing is a matter, financing is a matter. So we're looking at about the end of 2024 in my estimations and projections before we have a fully brand new, sustainable, reliable, energy-run bus transportation system.
Okay, I think that was perfect timing because one of our listeners wrote in and said, good morning to you and your guests. I understand that government has recently drawn down the $300+ million loan facility, which was approved in 2020. Please ask the Honorable Minister for Transport if these funds are to be used for infrastructure such as roads and transport. What will those funds be used for? Secondly, what is the update on the transport study consultancy that the Minister of Transport requested a few months ago?
Okay. Thank you so much.
What we'll do, sorry to interrupt you there, Minister, we'll take the break since we've reached that point in time, and when we return, give you an opportunity to respond. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
JN money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Radio Cayman News.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's official 96th birthday celebration.
Cayman Islands Fire Service, Her Majesty Cayman Islands Prison Service.
This is the first ever Queen's Birthday Parade to take place in the Sister Islands.
Knight Commander, the Honourable Anthony Stafford Smeller QC, Chief Justice.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister responsible for Tourism and Transport. Also in the studio with us, Mr. Kim Ramoon, who's a Senior Inspector at the Public Transport Unit here in the Cayman Islands. We're talking about public transportation, specifically talking about the Minister and Mr. Ramoon's trip to Barbados to a transport conference over there and the results of that. And we're taking that and incorporating that into our discussions about public transport in the Cayman Islands. I have another series of questions for you, but I'll give you an opportunity to respond to the one that I gave you before we went to the commercial break.
Yeah, I think the one it was in respect to the $300 million loan facility. And I must say I'm going to shy away from this question because this question is actually for the Deputy Premier. Me being just getting back over the weekend, haven't been updated in respect to the final decision in Parliament. But I know we haven't decided to do anything with it yet, as far as I'm aware. But one thing I think
it was going to be invested in bonds. That was what was said.
I know those were part of the discussions. I'm not sure
if interest rates. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the important point here is that I am happy that the Deputy Premier decided that we should keep that loan drawdown anyway. Here's why. The interest rates have just increased tremendously. And the borrowing of that amount of money, even though we may not necessarily have to use it, which is still yet to be seen, we got it at such a low interest rate. Even if you were to just loan that back out, you can actually make money off of it. I'm not the finance guy, so I'm not going to try to dive into that anymore, but leave that question more to the Deputy Premier for him to answer. But the second part of it was the study that went out, the request for suggested new model moving forward for transportation. Interestingly enough, we have not awarded that yet. And I'm tempted to actually not really move forward with it because it's a substantial cost. And then we'll get an independent body to recommendations to say how we should move forward. In that, they're asking about the structure of the transportation unit, whether it should be like that, whether it should be under authority, and so forth. I personally think that rather than spending that large amount of money, because unfortunately the amount is pretty high for the study, because the study was included with the long-term cruise tourism strategy, and we thought we'd put them together because transport and tourism are going to be connected, and one will reflect on the other. So you want to know about transport, you got to think about the tourism element and how they get around, and vice versa, right? And it's a substantial amount of money, and with the knowledge that we have now, we see a blueprint that we go, all we have to do is tweak a few blueprints here and there, and we have a system. Why do we have to pay consultants to do that? Now, I am not ready to ask my colleagues for that permission until we finish our review from that trip to make that final decision. But I'm almost there, saying that maybe we don't need that independent advice now. Particularly with if you remember me telling you at the start of the show that I'm waiting on some responses from Barbados.
Yes.
And if that response is favorable, then I don't think we would need outside technocrats to tell us that. We can have friends who have kind of been through the process already, and along with our own technocrats here, add the relative research on the other jurisdictions to tweak our own market and come up with a overall plan ourselves. So that's why you haven't heard anything about that yet, because I'm trying my best to save money as much as possible due to the difficulties that we're going to see. But I think you had another question for me that I'm happy to address.
Sure, yes.
Potentially take some calls too.
Okay, yeah. We'll take the calls after the
after 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock headline news. Okay, so the person has two questions, and they say, first of all, they preface their questions by saying there is no doubt that transport reform is needed, and they have proffered two ideas. One, why not give tokens to students, elderly, and NAU recipients to ride the buses? And the other suggestion was government can make this public, so why can't they also open a government insurance company to cover the buses and all government vehicles as well? Why shouldn't government self-insure?
Well, thank you so much again, and thanks for that person who sent you the message. Two very important questions. And the answers to them is both, yes, they're both plausible. The first one, which is under my responsibility, is definitely something that will be encompassed in the new way forward. Kids, particularly those who are going to school, seniors, and those who are handicapped will definitely be considered. With the government's plan of moving into a national ID program, that's the best way to do that, rather than setting up a token program. We probably have to go to the NAU, because somebody who may be going to school don't necessarily have to be involved with the NNU process. We're going to do the whole scale, any kid, regardless of whether you're rich or poor. So with the national ID program, you can the IDs can have certain triggers on them. To, for instance, actually, the national ID may have a smart chip in it, whereby you can use those technologies with the bus service, whereby you can take out your ID and just buzz your way through on the bus service. And then we can see how many people, how many kids are taking the bus, how many seniors, how many people with disabilities, and so forth. So yes, that is something that we will encompass, recognizing that means we're subsidizing the cost. And I think it's important, before I go on to the final answer to the other question, is that this is not going to be an exercise of making money or profits, all right? Because we're trying to increase the quality of life of our people and the safety of our people on the roads, and also the improvement of our environment through our through the reduction of greenhouse gases. So this will have to be seen as an investment, because we don't have the population numbers. In my humble opinion, I'm waiting on some final research to give me this exact, but I don't think that the expectation of quality of run routes and the times and efficiencies that we would need with the population of 70,000 people, that what you expect to have running on a regular basis efficiently, that we'll make a profit. It will be a loss. But that loss can't be seen in the expense. It has to be seen as an investment into the quality of life of our people. Yeah. So yes, we would subsidize the cost through government payouts every year, and that's what I would be suggesting. Again, this has not been approved by my cabinet, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't happen. I know the spirit of my team, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So there will be recurring costs every year due to those subsidies that we would offer. Now, in respect to the second part of your question, which is whether or not the government should self-insure these buses as well as all government fleet, I would say I think that's a wonderful idea. I think at one point we used to insure some of our assets. But I can say this to you, that the Honourable Deputy Premier, Honourable Christopher Saunders, have already started to develop strategies of expanding Cineco into other offerings. And I'll allow him to do the necessary announcements in respect to that. But I don't see that being something he would shy away from, as long as it becomes financially prudent to do so and there's benefit to the people. It is our assets, keep holding ourselves liable to that and potential cost savings. I don't see why not. But it's for him to make that analysis and that announcement on behalf of our team in the PAC.
Okay, we still have about 2 minutes left. We go to the break. One of the observations and questions that I have has to do with public transport, and I would venture to say that the utilizing of public transport in the Cayman Islands has been dominated mainly by workers, persons who work in the Cayman Islands. But we have seen a shift now with the number of vehicles on the road, where before you used to have a person who had a helper in their home. They would normally be at the bus stop in the mornings to pick them up, to drive them home. Now that helper is driving to work. So more and more persons on work permits in the Cayman Islands are now driving. So the market that was out there for public transport is shrinking. And how do we get back to that point in time to make public transport that more viable?
Well,
what policies do we have to put in place?
The simple answer is this: you will definitely have to put some restrictions on importation of vehicles, as well as who can potentially have access to a license to drive a vehicle in the Cayman Islands. But I think it would be premature for us to take those actions before putting in the transport system, because you want to make sure that, I mean, to be honest with you, can still make it more, make those decisions now and make them go to the current system that we have. But then that means the current system, you'll have a bigger fight when it's time to change that system, because there's going to be an assumption that system is effective and functioning.
And we have to assume also that the reason that people have switched vehicles is because the public transport system was not effective. And I would venture to say that they used it before and it was effective. I believe their access to vehicles, to automobiles, has become easier, and that has why the shift has come about.
Well, I can confirm this, that the government is looking, just like the last administration, on strategies of decentivizing people from trying to get more and more vehicles, and potentially the ban on certain ages and certain types of cars that have bad emissions to our environment. That's all a part of it, but my team is waiting on me to make sure we have a plan with this so we can execute the other ones as well.
Okay. We've reached the top of the hour for headline news. When we return, we will open up the phone lines for you if you have any questions or comments for either Minister Mr. Bryan, senior moment there, either Minister Bryan or Mr. Ramoon as well. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
123 cases of COVID-19 were reported for Tuesday and Wednesday, with 2 of those in the sister islands. There are an estimated 936 active cases in Cayman, with 8 patients getting treatment in the hospital. Ukraine's bid to join the European Union has been given a, quote, major boost with a recommendation that it be granted candidate status. But the European Commission says the country must make reforms on rules of law, oligarchs, human rights, and tackling corruption. The European Commission chief says Ukrainians have shown they are, quote, ready to die for their European aspirations. It comes after 4 European leaders traveled to Kyiv on Thursday and publicly supported Ukraine's admission to the bloc. Russian President Vladimir Putin is due to give a speech at an economic forum in St. Petersburg later in Russia under heavy economic sanctions from the West. And Ukraine says Russia is concentrating its forces for an assault on the eastern city of Slovyansk, while fighting is continuing for control of Severodonetsk. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister with responsibility for tourism and transport. Also in the studio with us, we have Senior Inspector with the Public Transport Unit in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Kim Ramoon. And we did we do have callers as well. Okay. The minister stepped out of the studio just for a second, so we'll wait, for him to return in order to take the call. But another one of our listeners just was sending greetings, said good morning to Minister and Mr. Ramoon, wishing you all a happy Father's Day, and they pray blessings to you all. Keep up the good work. Have a wonderful weekend as well. That's one of our listeners. So, Mr. Ramoon, I believe you have access to a particular document that was issued by the Transport Board in Barbados. And one of the things that they spoke about in that has to do with their concrete progress in implementation. And I'll share this very quickly with our listening and viewing audience. It says, progress on transport access, including the rural population and the poor. The use of government-run bus service in Barbados is increasing and may continue to increase once the Transport Board can demonstrate to the general public the reliability of services provided through maintenance of the fleet and improved regularity of the service. Bus services are heavily subsidized with a fixed bus fare of $1.50 per trip school children in uniform and senior citizens over the age of 65 travel for free on transport board buses as well. So I wanted to point that out. So, Minister, if you're ready, we'll go to the phone lines. Let's take the first caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. And happy Father's Day when it comes.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much for bringing this initiative, taking the bull by the horn. It is very timely. Thank you, Mr. Ramoon, for your continued service. You have transitioned from one sector of the public contribution as a valued citizen, civil servant, to a very valuable position. We value your experience and your commitment to reaching solutions for our community. I would like to speak on behalf of our Rotary Club, which provides the bus shelters. We are very much in support of any initiatives the government provides to improve the convenience of movement of peoples toward our community. And we have stepped up our purchase of shelters, and I think we're now near 103 shelters, bus shelters. I would also like to make a suggestion. I'm not sure if it is amenable at this time. However, electric buses, fantastic, remarkable, important. There are people in this country who would leave their gasoline vehicles at home just to take an electric bus out of the heart that they have regarding our commitment to making sure our community is a safe place in terms of emissions. There is a car company, electric car company called Fisker, and their current electrical model is self-generation through the harvesting of solar energy through the roofs of their vehicles. It would be suggested that you could explore that with the manufacturers of the buses and see if they could incorporate, because that real estate on top of the bus is large enough to do the double duty of harvesting, reducing your need to do that much of a capital layout for that much more charging stations. This plan is going to work. We have a population size that is amenable to that to do this now, and I am sure that the return on investment is going to be a lot more realizable in a shorter term than people realize. And I can tell the minister that the public is going to be supporting this in a way that is going to be a lot more remarkable than he expects. Mr. Ramoon, thank you for being there. You are going to do a great job, and we look forward to being a partner with this initiative in resolution. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller,
Thank
for
you
that.
so much.
Let's grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, and good morning to Minister Bryan.
How are you doing, Doc?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
You went to my Bryan. Mr. Bryan went to one of my old alma maters.
Yes, I
did. I know you didn't visit the UWI, but the campus. But that was a nice place anyway. And good morning to Mr. Ramoon.
Thank you, sir.
Minister Bryan, I'm glad that you were trying to move the country into reality, into the 21st century, and to all the kind of amenities that people have in other jurisdictions. And that you were trying to implement some of the things that we tried a long time ago. That is commendable to you. One of the things that you said that you doing the study now, so that you're putting yourself in a position so that when the time comes, you're not taken by surprise. One of the things that I notice is that the road system that they're building is still the old time road system. I don't see any configuration for buses. That is something that's very significant, because if you're going to have reliability and so forth, as you speak about, the buses have to be efficient. They have to move quickly, and they can't be in traffic behind other buses and behind cars and stuff stuck in traffic. There has to be some sort of configuration of the roads that the buses have a lane,
dedicated lane
that they can go in. I don't see that's being done. So perhaps that's something that you can discuss with Minister J.
Correct.
And I want you bring your attention to when I took the course in road management and road financing for road executives in University of Manchester, Birmingham. That course is put up by the World Bank and by the IMF. It would be good if you could go and take that course.
Say the course again.
It's called Road Financing and Road Management. Road Financing and Road Management for Road Executives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's put up by University of Manchester, I think it is. Birmingham, and it's the course is put up by the World Bank and the IMF, and I think I took that course with after Paul Parchment recommended it to me, and it's a really good course, and the course is put on, and people come from all over the world to take that course, from Africa, from Iceland, from the Pacific Islands to take that course. You should get yourself and Ramoon a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks and go and take that course. It's very, very good. And they also publish a book called Street Smarts. I'm going to see if I can get a copy for you.
Okay.
It's called Street Smarts. It does mean
yeah, yes, yeah.
It's about streets.
Yes, yeah.
And things like that. So I'm going to try to find a copy for that so I can give it to you and you can start reading it. But it was good now that you're embarking on this course to go up there and take that course. Okay.
Thank you very much for that, Doc. Let's grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Welcome.
I'm fine, but I'm glad Mr. Ramoon is there, and I don't know if you know my voice with her, but I know you can't tell him who I is. But
that's Mr. Kim, not Barry. Kim Ramoon.
He's by his grandmother yard plant and his mom. But why call in to address? Why I need to know? Because I am a poor, tired leg walker. I do drive, I can't run, and I can barely walk now. So when I heard that they were getting this shuttle, Panton were getting this shuttle for Newlands, for the walkers, I guess, which include me, hitchhikers, whatever. And Sabrina will get one for Prospect, and the Prospect will go run from Prospect to Hurley's, and the Newlands one from Foster's to in Newlands, whatever, because when you catch the bus, them bus drivers, only certain people, even if I understand, if you offer to pay them more, they're supposed to drop you where you want to go, but I'm not going to call on them because I won't get no bashing, but certain people can pay them or certain people can ask them, and yes, they will carry them, but every time I ask, if even going to drop me to the college, they say, it's putting other passengers out of their way or whatever. So to cut the story short, I want to find out because I understand that the person that was supposed to drive this shuttle for Newlands already, the bus is here, ready to go, but then they say it was something that Mr. Ramoon had to approve, and I understood from good sources that that's what holding it up, so I wanted to find out from him. Please, he's not going to tell me what it is, but whatever it is, for my sake, and well, I guess others' sake, because I don't be the only one that be riding it, please, because my legs are tired. They wear out the 30 years that I stand up between Old Airport and the other one, and I having plenty of problem. I wake up at 1 o'clock this morning with them peeing, and doctors can't find out what to do. So.
Okay, we will definitely have them respond to your question as well in relation to those two shuttle buses. What we'll do, we still have about 3 minutes before we go to the break. Minister, we'll take as many calls as we can. When we return from the break, then give you both an opportunity to respond. So let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Wasim. Good morning, Minister Bryan, and good morning to Mr. Ramoon.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. The last caller hit one of the nails on the head that I was going to talk about, and that stems to reliability. You mentioned, I think it was Mr. Minister that mentioned it about the people owning cars now that you would say never owned them before, like work maids and whatever else. But when it comes to me having a helper, and I got kids that need to be picked up, because of X, Y, and Z, they need to go from point A to point B. How do I get them there if the bus doesn't travel that route? Period, number one. Number two, and the time frame that they need to be there, the bus is not in that route at that time. For example, when the school let out, if they need to be at, let's say, let's give an argument, from Clifton Hunter down to the King Sports Center, for example, for after-school curriculum. Within that time frame that they need to be there, the bus is not there to pick them up. Also, with that route, the bus may be on their route to east and north side, whatever. They have to wait all of that route to get back down, which could be the time frame that they need to be at that destination. So with my helper having access to a vehicle, whether they own it, whether it's mine or whatever, it gives them, the child's father or parents, that comfort to know that their child will be at that.
Will arrive on time to their destination. Yeah.
Correct. You know, these are things, that you need to think about when you're trying to make or going to make decisions on who owns vehicles or who owns a license. It's not a matter of saying, well, a foreigner or whoever can't own a license because X, Y, and Z. No, you have to think on the broader picture. Anyway, I'll leave you with that because I know a lot more want to get on, and I'll await your response.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Susan, you want to take the break or take the other caller and then the break? Are we going to take the break? We have another caller on hold, but we want to give also the Minister and Mr. Ramoon an opportunity to respond to the questions and comments raised before. Otherwise, we'll probably end up having a list longer than the PQs that you receive, Minister Bryan. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
If you care about your car's performance and fuel economy, you must fill up at Jose's Escape with the new Pure 93. Experts know that the higher the octane rating, the better your engine will perform. Pure 93 is the highest octane fuel available in Cayman. Protect your car against pre-ignition and engine knocks. Top up your tank now with Pure 93 at Jose's Rubis and enter to win an awesome track bike. But there's more. Jose's offers 2 lateral flow test kits for only $10. The best KN95 masks, 2 for $5, and 10 stylish black surgical masks are only $5. Share the love. Purchase Reflections gift certificates and enter to win the amazing Trek bike.
Karl Landsteiner was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize for developing the ABO system of human blood grouping in 1930. World Blood Donor Day is June 14th, saluting Karl's birthday. On behalf of our community, we, Rotary Club Central, thank you, the staff of the National Blood Bank. We thank you, our heroes, blood donors. Every day becomes World Blood Donor Day for we who need that pint to live. Call the National Blood Bank, 244-2674 or 244-2669. Donating blood is an act of solidarity. When blood is needed, nothing else will do. A message from Rotary Central and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Rotary serves to change lives.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio, Minister Kenneth Bryan and Mr. Kim Ramoon. We have a few callers online, but I want to give you an opportunity to respond to the first callers that we had, and then we will return to the callers that we have.
Okay, thank you so much, O.C. I'm going to allow question number 3 to be addressed by the Senior Inspector, Mr. Kim Ramoon, in respect to the buses in the Newlands and Prospect area. I'm going to address the first question, though, about the potential to have solars options or systems in a bus on top of the roof when we implement it. And I definitely will be investigating that option to make sure that if it's feasible and efficient and more cost effective by way of longer energy life for the buses, which makes it cheaper on government. Of course, we would investigate that, and I'll talk to the companies whenever we get to that stage. In respect to question number 2, from our good Honourable Dr. McFeel, the current development of roads now. Obviously, we can't go back and change roads that we've had before. We're going to have to make some changes and make some land acquisitions and so forth to have the leeways for buses as we continue to develop our new system. But I do agree with Dr. McFeel that NRA has to be focused on any new road to have a structure in place that respects buses. But I think it's more so on the leeways to pull off rather than the road itself, because what we did learn is the mechanisms and the engineering of road sharing regulations. So a private bus, a private driver, and a regular bus will be using the same lane. But a bus isn't always in that lane at all times. So you don't want to create 3 lanes when you can have 2 lanes. But when you know there's a bus coming, you need to move out of the way because this is a bus lane. So there's structures within the regs and the legislation on the rules of the road that allows you to use the roads that you have available already, with prioritizing the buses being the most important. So we will definitely be talking about that. But one thing that did trigger my mind, and I meant to talk about it with the Honourable Minister before, is that I think that we have to make some amendments to the NRA board by allowing at least one member from the transport unit to be on that board, so they can always continue to remind them of the importance of the buses and so forth. I'm not saying that the NRA isn't focused on that, but a member who has the specialties, like say for instance Mr. Ramoon, who's gone off on conferences, understands the mechanisms and systems, and obviously within the NRA itself they have the technocrats there and the engineers who understand that. But from a policy governance model of NRA, to have one of the transport unit people there. So I'm going to discuss that with him. So I think that addresses the comment by the Honourable Dr. McFeel. The third question was for Mr. Ramoon, and I'll leave him to answer that after the second one. The last caller spoke about being mindful of the circumstances with, for example, helpers having to pick up kids and how we're going to manage the time of that. Now, there's no perfect system, and I think that maybe have been triggered by my comment to say that certain people may not have a license. And I'm not suggesting that helpers will not be able to have a license. I'm saying that after a proper system of new reliable transport system implemented, we will be doing some changes to disincentivize persons from having to buy so many cars. We have to recognize that there's too many cars on the road. There's too many deportees, Japanese vehicles that are really cheap. They're filling up our dump and causing environmental problems and so forth. Now, if you are in a position and can afford to buy a car after these changes, whether we say a reduction of car can't be so a certain age, that means that your options on cheaper vehicles will be reduced. So if you can still find yourself in that position to afford to pay for a vehicle for your helper, or your helper is getting paid enough to do that, and he or she can learn the roads rules and can get a license, then so be it. Because there's no perfect system that will be able to have a public bus system to say, I'm going to have somebody to take your child to every single point. And as a father of 2 daughters, I understand how he feels. So I would say that we're going to try to make it most efficient as possible within reason. But there's always going to be that awkward place where in other jurisdictions people actually either walk or they drive and pick them up. You're supposed to be maintaining the main routes of traffic that's supposed to be focused on. And in the other smaller areas where are not considered to be main routes, we may have an option where smaller buses will be circling in those zones, like say, for instance, in the more community areas and residential areas. But sometimes that doesn't seem to be very profitable. And that may be where it can be given out to the private sector or independent person, but that person cannot move outside of that zone. So I want him to know that we will be mindful of circumstances like that, particularly when it comes to children and the ability to get around on time and reliable way. So thank you for that comment, and I'll leave it to Mr. Ramoon to answer number 3.
Okay.
In relation to the caller's question, that matter is being dealt with by the board, and I'm unable to elaborate any further at this time. And when the board do make a decision, the parties involved will be contacted and notified.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. We have 2 callers still on hold, Ms. Susan. Let's see if we can accommodate both in 5 minutes to go to our next commercial break. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How art thou?
Well, how are you? How is everybody?
Good morning.
Good morning to everybody in the studio. Mr. Minister, welcome back home.
Thank you.
I bring no flying fish of people, but anyway. Thank you, sir, for acknowledging and addressing the behavior of some of our public transport drivers. Or what we know in the Cayman Islands, not necessarily so much public transport, but privately owned and operated vehicles. Of course, some of those people have hired help, but mostly they are owner-operated. Sometimes, sir, it is hard, and I've been on a bus, I don't think, for a year, but, whenever, sometimes it's just hard to sit on these vehicles and witness the behavior and the attitudes of the most of these drivers. And as far as the term background music, well, it's obvious to me that they don't understand that. The music they're playing is loud, it's brash, it's vulgar, it's pie, I got the gun and shooting and who got the biggest bag of money, overly sexualized, sexually suggestive. It really, as far as I'm concerned, and somebody who worked in tourism a lot, that's really not, appropriate for us. When you got your own car, that's kind of different, but, that's a situation where they could handle it a little different, I'm sure.
I agree.
Then now you got something called overloading, Mr. Kim, Mr. Minister. The overloading on the eastbound buses, especially on the 5 o'clock traffic, going and coming, it is dangerous. The day one of these buses meeting the right kind of accident, it's not going to be insurance, it can be government that they're operating. And I say government allows them to operate, and I say they are operating in a way that is totally unacceptable. And what I understand about insurance from the legal perspective is if you got a 14-seater, you got a 14-seater. It's not 16, it's not 18, it's not 20-seater.
Yes.
Which one gonna get the insurance money? Because everybody gonna have a broke back, whether they have a broke back or not. They're sitting in the stairwell, they're standing in the stairwell, they jam up, they're standing in the aisle, no nothing to hang on to. But I mean, it's totally another culture. They're used to doing that where they come from, but it did not gonna look pretty on the Cayman Islands. Another bung up eye, that's all we get is black eyes. And then another thing is the afternoon drive going and coming from the east. It's the worst. It is really the worst. Anyway, gentlemen, Mr. Minister, something called tolls. You can designate that to go anywhere. But tolls, I think we are old enough now for you to have something called tolls, because the Cayman Islands government just has to suck it up every time. Yes, locals will have to pay, but everybody else will have to pay their tolls. It's as simple as that, and the government needs help on the road, and I don't know why it is my government shies away from collecting, and it's not from the local people, because boy, and they can put some pinholes in us. It is the overseas voice that is loud and brash, and sorry for being in that way, but loud and brash and awful. Little tolls, not a killer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. We have to take a commercial break. We still have one more caller on hold. We will take that call, two calls, as soon as we return. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Have you heard? This year's Queen Botanic Park 5K Run Walk will be taking place on Sunday, June 19th, to raise funds for the Children's Garden. Race starts at 6:30 a.m. Registration is just $25 and you get a free t-shirt, breakfast, not to mention a chance to win a prize. They even have a prize for the best fascinator design. Guess I need to make one of them.
Register now at racecaribbean.net. Sponsored by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Ministry of Tourism and Transport, Cayman National Bank, Davenport Development, Coca-Cola, Water Authority Cayman, Logic, Cree Global, Cayman Rehab Services.
You know the easiest way to get free food? No, not go steal your neighbor's mango, but plant a tree. Yeah, for real. More trees, more food, less grocery bills. To celebrate Her Majesty Queen Platinum Jubilee, come plant a tree for the Jubilee. Yeah, we need you. Yes, you. Make sure you leave your green mark on the Cayman Islands. Perhaps a mango tree, a legitimate tree, even a little bit of coconut or cabbage. Is it time we all started eating off the land again? Register your tree and leave your green print at www.gov.ky/National Tree Planting. Or make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Plant a tree for the Jubilee. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Government, Ministry for Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Let's green Cayman now.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister responsible for Tourism and Transport, and Mr. Kim Ramoon, who's the Senior Inspector with the Public Transport Unit in the Cayman Islands. We have 3 callers. We're going to close off the phone lines with those 3 callers because there's still some areas that Minister Bryan and Mr. Ramoon want to cover, plus respond to the questions and comments made by the callers as well. We're going to ask these 3 callers to please be as brief as possible as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. Good morning to the Minister and Mr. Ramoon. I'm going to be quick, just for brevity there. So, a very, very wonderful 2 coincidences I've had. So I was turning on a talk show and hearing Minister Bryan on it a few weeks back, and the same conversation I had in my last parting words were talking about doing a government transit system. Little did I know he was well into the works with it. So very heartened to see that taking forward motion. Just a couple of points that I wanted to address in terms of the bus stops. Every property on the island to get a permit cannot be built, and when I say every property within the last 30, 40 years, cannot be built within 20 feet of the front road boundary, and in particular with commercial facilities. I dare say that some of the way to sort of ease up the full blockage of a roadway or an aisleway is that government enters into a deal, especially with commercial properties, because at the end of the day, if you put a commercial property, if you put a bus stop at a commercial property, the chances of improving business traffic into that property would increase. And so therefore, indenting into the first 20 feet of that property or the first 10 feet of that property would help get the bus, partly off the road, which allows traffic to still, proceed with caution, and allows the passengers to safely embark and disembark. As far as the access to the buses, there also needs to be consideration when this is done that you actually, just like how they have on airlines where you have an airline marshal, you need to have a bus marshal, because unfortunately society is such that we do have the occasional unruly and in some cases violent characters. And so I think that should something be on there. I just spent a lot of time in the south of Spain. I took a lot of bus rides with my elderly mother. She had an ID card. And when there was people that came on there that were banned for their behavior, when they swiped the card, it actually said they couldn't ride. They're actually, just like how they get your license suspended, you get your bus ride suspended if you carried on in a certain way. So something to consider there. And then also the other part of it is we need to stop babying our people and our guests. We have our culture. And yes, our culture will also have to adapt as well. But we have to stop facilitating people to the point of ridiculousness where we're going out of our way. It is them who have to go out of our way to conform to our cultures. And so therefore, if they're not behaving in a certain manner, then they're persona non grata. And so when we make that as a position of being, we're not being discriminatory or anything else, the reality is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And we cannot make no apologies for that. With that, folks, I'll leave you alone. Thank you very much, Minister Bryan, for your efforts, because we finally seen some way forward in a positive manner, and looking forward to more of the projects you're working on.
Thank you.
Your background. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Okay, and good morning to Honorable Minister Kenneth Bryan and to Mr. Kim Ramoon.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So concerning traffic, I would suggest that we start putting up signs reminding our visitors to drive on the left. I think that should be done at least every 2 miles on our roads. And what brought that to my attention is I was on the public bus in the Boson Bay area coming towards the lighthouse from Turtle Farm direction. And as we got to the top of the hill by the lighthouse, there was a van with 2 parents and 3 children coming from the opposite direction, and they were on the right-hand side of the road coming over that hill. And the bus driver had to stop suddenly in order for them to correct themselves and get on the left. So I think it's only fair for us to help protect our tourists and visitors to have these signs done. And also when it comes to our young children, I've been noticing a lot of people been driving in cars without our young children being in child seats. And I don't know if the government is able to partner with the private sector in buying car seats and donating these seats to those people who may not be able to afford them. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Last caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and good morning to Mr. Ramoon and to Minister Bryan.
Good morning, sir.
I'd like to amplify the female caller, the last female caller, and her suggestion of doing tolls. I think roads in Cayman is a precious commodity, and like anywhere else, whoever uses that commodity have to pay a premium for it. What the toll will do, in my opinion, will be tax those people who uses it the most, and assist government in raising the revenue to maintain the high quality of roads that we have here in the Cayman Islands. So I would like, whatever model we are coming up with, I would suggest that we fix the public system first so that it gives people an option to use that, and look at putting tolls in place. And tolls nowadays is automated. There is no human involvement, so there is no, that cost is not there, and we could maximize the profit from it and assist government in providing the high quality of roads that we have. Thank you.
Sorry, before you go, I don't know if he's still there. I just want to know if I recognize a Bajan voice there or not. Is he still there?
Sounds like he may have left us. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see. Unless there's another caller, I'd like to get the opportunity to answer some of these.
We've basically closed off the phone lines now. So
okay.
We're going to have about 3 minutes before we go to our last commercial break, and then you will have more time after that as well.
Okay. Well, I think we had 4 callers. Mm-hmm. And the first caller that called in this last batch of callers is a woman who I love and respect tremendously. Thank you for calling. It's always wonderful to hear your buses. I'm going to have the Chief Senior Inspector, Mr. Ramoon, to speak about these difficulties in respect to overloading of the buses and the behaviors of the individuals on there, and then make a comment afterwards.
Okay. In relation to the caller's concern, in relation to the buses drivers' behavior, what I would advise the general public, once you encounter any of these events, please email your concerns to Public Transport Unit, all lowercases, one word, @gov.ky. As soon as you do that, an inspector will be in contact with you, and we will start an investigation in relation to the matter. Our office number for the bus depot in town is 926-8814. They will be open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week, on Saturdays from 7 until 4. Sundays we are closed, and the office number is 946-1323. 946-1323. So give us an email, give us a call, and we'll look into the matter. I would encourage the general public to please do not be afraid to make any complaints or any reports in relation to any behavior. Loud music, by law, are not permitted to be played in any public transport vehicle. So once you encounter this, please call, give us a call, send us an email.
Just to address her particular question about vulgar music with curse words or inappropriate messaging, is that against the law as well in respect to their license?
On a public transport vehicle.
Yes. Okay. So just to calm her thoughts, technically speaking, if you have encountered that or witnessed it, that driver is in violations as to the license and could be held to be penalized in one way or another. I want to talk about the politics of it now. So you gave the technicalities of how things work within the unit and what can and cannot be done. I must say I am disgusted by some of the music I've heard, not only on buses, but in the public domain. Something is developing here, and I don't know why I can't just always be cool as a politician and just stay on script. But I'm going to go off script here for a minute. We have this culture, particularly on Friday. Today is a Friday. You're going to drive in some areas, and you're going to hear music pumping to the loudest, right? And then the part about that is the music and the words that they're saying. I appreciate the different genres of music, right? The different types of music. I hated rock and roll, but one thing you would never have heard was a person playing loud rock and roll with the F words in it, and I'm going to do you this, I'm going to do you that. What I'm trying to say is you have the right to enjoy whatever kind of music you like. But what you cannot do is impede on my personal space and my personal understanding by having music so loud and the messaging being wrong. I've had situations where I'm walking with my child and I have to ask my daughter to close her ears because of some of the things I've heard. And it's not the Caymanian way, and I don't want to make this about other destinations or other countries, but it's not the Caymanian way. And let me actually not make it be about Caymanians, because Caymanians do it too, but we're growing into a culture that was never a part of us. We always had respect within everything that we did, particularly for others and our seniors. And we've grown into this, and it's starting to, obviously this comment came up as the caller talked about it being played in the buses. Now, I don't think we're doing a good enough job on regulating and enforcing that concern, and that's for the police department. And I'm not going to get caught into this discussion about Section 55 and who's responsible for what. So that's for the governor and the police commissioner, and I expect them to do their job to address the problem. So I'll leave that there. But I am too disappointed. I think we have to go to a break, and I'll come back and address the
last commercial break. Yes, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The hurricane season is here. Are you ready? If not, now is the time to prepare. Follow the Water Authority on social media for important announcements and survival tips throughout the hurricane season. You can download free preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website, www.waterauthority.ky. Be aware, be safe, be prepared.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with Minister Kenneth Bryan and Senior Inspector with the Public Transport Unit, Mr. Kim Ramoon. I think I have one more message here. Let's see. This person is saying, please ask the Honorable Minister if the government has any plans to give old seamen or any more money to help with the cost of living. Thanks, we'll be listening. So this is a little bit off the topic today.
I can happily answer it, though. I can happily answer
certainly.
it.
Okay.
I think the caller is asking about whether or not the seaman benefits, which is at currently $950, whether it should be increased.
Yes.
If it was up to me, it'd be at $1,200. But you know how the democracy works. We'll continue to discuss that, and I will continue to pressure my colleagues to increase that amount because my seamen, our seafarers, have been the foundation of our country, and they have to be given the respect to survive in this current market. So just know that you have a fighter on the inside trying to increase that for you. Moving on now, I didn't get to finish the addressing the callers because they are very important to me to answer their comments.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were comments, but we were going off the...
If I can quickly give you another one. Sorry to interrupt there.
No
This
problem.
person says, can't the board / authorities for the bus drivers do spot checks and gather evidence and charge the drivers who are not complying? I don't know if Mr. Ramoon wants to speak to that and what the policy is in place.
We do spot checks. However, we have no enforcement powers.
Okay.
That is a problem.
Yeah. I was just about to address that based on the caller, the first caller of the last batch. Sadly, the enforcement regulations and processes is what's causing the lack of control of the current bus drivers, or those who are making it bad for all the rest of them. Because there's a lot of great bus drivers. Let me make that clear. But there is a bunch that is making it look really, really bad for a lot of them. Thank you. And the current process of you have to get a written letter, then you get a warning, and after you get a warning, you have to go to the board, and after the board, you can also appeal that. So there's like 4 different processes before they can take any action, and even after that action is taken, it's like a suspension for 6 months, and they come back. So it's really not efficient at all. And not only that, they don't have the powers to enforce the traffic law. Right, so they're only controlling them based on the license agreement for them to be a public transport driver. So if they violate the law, they would actually have to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, but if they violate the traffic law, they would need to get a traffic officer to actually penalize them and found guilty before they can interact to say, yes, you have been penalized as to the police, and therefore that's a violation of your license. So if they're out there and they witness it, them witnesses doesn't really help because you need a police officer to do that. So bottom line is, after the truth is, the current system is a mess. It is ridiculous. This is why everybody's talking about it. And I said to myself when I came in on behalf of the government, don't make no sense trying to fix this system. Let's find a brand new system altogether and fix all the problems that we have all at one time. So that's why I'm saying to the public, you're going to have to work within what we have now until I can bring a brand new system altogether. But one thing I would love to emphasize, though, is what Mr. Ramoon said about making reports. We are in a new era of technology where you can sit right there on that bus, and if you catch them doing something, just turn your camera on, put your phone down by your waist, and you record the whole thing. And you make sure you get his number, you get his face or her face or whoever face, and you send that evidence straight to them. Now, yes, that would mean that they've been have to go through this process of penalty to get a warning one time, but that's the only system that we have right now until we make that change, right? Yes. So, and sometimes getting them on video or getting the audio of what they're doing is embarrassing enough for them to know. And to be honest with you, I hope the Lord gives me enough strength to never see one of them, so I can stay in my ministerial role and professionalism, because I'm sick and tired of it. It's disgusting and it's changing my country, and I'm tired of it. So I can't wait to get this system in place, because it's a serious reflection on who we are as a people. Anyway, I'm going to get off that train now and move on to the next one. I think there was a comment about, and these last three were more comments than anything else, but I want to recognize them. Sure. It's about the bus stops and entering into agreements with commercial properties about you getting byways off the front part of their properties to enhance the bus stopping processes. And I agree, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to have to find out what mechanisms, whether it's every 300 yards or what have you, wherever that lands, to work in partnership under a national strategy of a transportation system. So that's within our thoughts in our examination. The next caller talked about signs for visitors that drive on the left. And I must say, I think there's a policy within the rent-a-car license that they have to put a sign within every car that says you drive on the left. Now, no matter how much times you put that sign up, even if you put it every 100 feet, they may just forget. It's just a habit. I don't think anybody wanted to drive on the right intentionally.
Plus, most rental vehicles will have it in
exactly,
as well, huh?
Exactly. So yes, but it's always good to continue to remind them, and I'll try to reach out to the rent-a-car companies that when they're doing that agreement, to always remind them, listen, don't forget, we drive on the left. He also spoke about car seats or child seats and access and affordability to them. I agree. Many nonprofits and companies are willing to help. And if there's anybody out there who don't have a car seat that is driving, and if you reach out to a nonprofit or even to the government, we'll definitely try to find, or your representative for that fact, we'll try to find a way to get you one, because it's so important to the lives not only of your children but of everybody else around us. And there's a lot of times where I think some of the what do you call them again? They carry all the use closed and so forth.
Red Cross. The
Red Cross and so forth. They normally have ones that families have had before. The kids are too big now. They just hand them over. So you can always find them there. Get them just steam cleaned and you're good to go. The last caller, who I think is a Bayesian, based on his tune, and I got a little opportunity to hear quite a bit of it. And I want to say to all my Bayesian voters in Georgetown Central, I went to your home. It was amazing. I had a good time. And I saw what made you such a wonderful set of people. In respect to the last caller, I talked about tolls and that we're, with our great infrastructure compared to many others. I mean, plenty of people may say, well, boy, our road's not so great. But when you took a drive in Barbados, I felt like I was in paradise, super paradise in Cayman compared to what Barbados roads are like. And I'm not trying to undermine them, but when you have their transportation system has been in place since 1955. And their development of their nation has been in it a lot longer than us, because they were one of the plantation countries from the colonial times. So they've had the population growth and everything for a while, but they never instituted proper development plans. It was never Barbados and bringing the Africans there to develop a nation. It was there to use the soil and the sand to reap profits. It was never planned that way. That's why you have all the side roads and obviously once they went independent, they had to figure out their own economy and have the revenues to do so. So they're in their transition of growth, just like every other country, just like us. We've just been lucky and blessed by the good Lord to have what we have today, and we appreciate, on behalf of all our people, we appreciate the Lord and are happy that the Lord blessed us with what we have. But the caller was saying we need to make sure to consider tolls to make sure we constantly have the revenue to maintain them, because the part about roads that makes it good is not the implementation of them, but the maintenance of them, because eventually a road will start to break down. And the fact that our roads are as good as they are is because of government after government after government after government's commitment to keeping our status and quality of our country that high, that we prioritize in putting monies in resurfacing and so forth. Mm-hmm. So we have to give credit So even though sometimes we disagree politically about which government and all that, but all of them always have this commonality, which is Cayman is one of the best countries in the world. We're going to keep focus on our infrastructure and our quality of life and so forth, and they try to put it in. So when they say road politics, that's at least a benefit to that, because the roads always stay nice and allow us to have infrastructure. And a good, strong road infrastructure is a great component to a strong economy. With that being said, I know we had to wrap up, but I just want to leave this opportunity to say I'm committed to having a brand new transportation system, and I'm going to leave it there because I want Mr. Kim, who has done a great job with me on this, to say a few words before he goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to first say to the Ministry and Radio Cayman and the Broad Cayman for giving me the opportunity to be here this morning. It's my first time.
You did well, very well. That's a cool.
I dedicated to seeing, hey, I'm a bit nervous, but he said everything going to be fine. And I must say everything was fine. And I'm looking forward, again, to be here with the Ministry in relation to public transport with any updates in the near future.
I promise you will be here again. Okay. Yes. That's for sure.
Thank you, sir.
Minister, I want to thank you both, both you and Mr. Ramoon for being here as well, and keeping the public informed. That makes them feel much more confident, much more comfortable, and reassures them that things are happening. Plans are being made, things are in the works, but as usual, everything takes time. Some may take more time than others, and we sometimes have to be patient. So meanwhile, those persons who use the public transport system, we encourage you to continue to use it. And when you see where there's room for improvements and small suggestions that where tweaks can be made now, bring those suggestions forward as well. Those of you who don't use the public transport system but have the options of using it, we encourage you to do so as well, because we see what traffic congestion can be like. All you need to do is to be on Linford Pearson Highway or other stretches of road in the evenings after 4 o'clock, and if you're heading west, you see what the struggle is to head east. And as Minister Bryan pointed out early as well in Barbados, the recognition is that you cannot continue to build roads to address the traffic problem. There are limitations to that as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk today. And I didn't get an opportunity to mention this because we're discussing something else, but I see where one of our local banks, Butterfield, has indicated through a press release that their interest rates will be increased in accordance with the U.S. Federal Reserve. What is interesting in that is that Butterfield, Bermuda, has increased their interest rates as well, but they have not gone the full 0.75 of a percentage point. They have knocked off, I believe it is a quarter of, they have only gone to 150 or 125 as opposed to the full amount. And my question is, what's the difference between Butterfield Bank here in the Cayman Islands and Butterfield Bank in Bermuda? And there may be an answer to that. And if someone has the answer to that, please supply it, as well. So, as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands. Have a great weekend, and all of you fathers out there and the fathers around this table as well, a happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community event